wrote a book that was published last year, and it is Solar Euphoria, the rise of photovoltaics to the top. I wrote a lot of books because at the Commission I had responsibility of all renewable energies, biomass, wind, you name them. And so I had written books on all of them. But last year I thought, now there must be a book on only PV, because PV is a winner. Why is PV the winner? It has become, it was always the cleanest, but now also it is the cheapest. It is today the cheapest. We are not talking about the future. It is today the cheapest. And last year there was a particular opportunity to write a book on it, because we had also the 50th anniversary. And that was the 50th anniversary of the conference, the UNESCO conference in '73 on all the renewable energies. I worked at that time at the French Space Agency, and we said, hey, you need also PV. And so PV became a major part of that conference in '73. And this '73 was a very big conference, a lot bigger than today. It had 1,000 people, with many Americans. The leading people came also from Russia and from all of Europe, and you name it. And it was a fantastic conference. And I think it inspired also a bit the British when they came back to say, hey, we must also do something. And so came the idea for UK ISIS in '74. Now, last year we had a little group of people, mostly French. The French like their UNESCO. And UNESCO is a very prestigious organization, as you know, a world organization. So we had a little meeting in the center of Paris, not far from Notre Dame, and it was a dinner, and we opened champagne. And we had a good time, and we said, hey, this is really fantastic. So the book has been published last year. For that reason, it was the 50th anniversary of '73. And it was also for another reason. And the reason was because I take a global view here. The reason was the world had installed for the first time 1 terawatt. Only PV installed and working. It took 68 years from the development of a viable silicon solar cell in '54. You remember the Americans, always the Americans. 68 years ago we had the 1 terawatt, the first 1 terawatt of PV. And you know how long it took to make the second terawatt? 2 years! It will be at the end of this year. We will have 2 terawatts installed. Isn't that fantastic? We all have worked on this. So, I'm so glad to be here, and I would like to say, I will be very short now, because I have a few words about the UK. It's not up to me to talk about UK. But I should still mention that I remember in '74, because I'm an old guy, I also came. I remember Sir George Porter. Yes. And then I came several times afterwards. I felt really involved. And then, at that time, there was still no Brexit. And the UK had just joined a few years earlier the European Union. And this was wonderful when we had the UK. That was another story than what happened afterwards with it. So, and you know what? I had some important people who were sitting here as contractors of our solar programs. And we had also, we could manage, we started the solar architecture program. And we could convince Norman Foster, the Lord now, and Sir Richard Rogers to join. We were so proud. We went to our committees and said, we made it, we have the big architects with us. Solar architecture, that's the thing to go. So, afterwards, a lot of things happened at the commission. You may remember the boom and the big organizations, big explosions. But anyway, after always the Americans reminded me, you have done this, that, and so forth. But something was very interesting. I went back and I looked on the internet. In '97, we had published from the Commission a white paper on the future of energy in Europe. And we cannot do that. We were little civil servants, you know how it is in Brussels. But we had a Greek guy with us, Arturo Servos, who just unfortunately passed away recently. But he was Greek, and at that time our commissioner was also Greek. So there was a connection. That's the only way things could work in those days. We had very good relations with the European Parliament. But the European Parliament has not very much to say. It's a council with the member countries. They decide in Brussels the big things. And the Parliament. So the Parliament was okay, always on our side, but to get the Commission, the high bosses, like the ministers and so forth, to get them to cooperate and say, we make now a white paper. And on this white paper from '97, you can have a look. The energy future in Europe. And it has, on 50 pages, it has a whole thing. In those days, the renewable energies were really still not very much advanced. But we said, boom, have a look at it. And I said, I would like to close, and I say again, I'm so glad to be here today and to have all these nice people. We had so many good discussions in the old days when I was still active. And the 100 years anniversary, I will not be with you, but this one is very good.